All right. So there was actually a really interesting meeting that took place in June. There was an EoZVR meetup, and they went over many different things. They went three segments, and they had a Q&A session at the end. But the first segment that they had was with the dongles. So I'll start with those. So this is the new SW4 dongle with 4 devices in development. It's got external antennas for each dongle. So instead of having to plug stuff in, you just have the antennas. It's got an integrated USB hub, so if you want even more dongles, you can put them into the hub. And you can charge devices with it if you use the power input for the hub. It's currently under Q&A, and the image that I show is just a mock-up of what it could look like when it's in development. I did run this by the actual, developers to make sure it was somewhat accurate to what we should expect. And the estimated price is going to be between $60 to $70. The estimated release date for this project is early next year. So if you're ever running out of dongle space or having issues with interference, or you heard about that spider dongle thing, that, let's not talk about that. But if you're also
Oh,
the second segment. So what's new with the straps? What changed with the straps? There's actually a new chest strap design currently in the beta phase. The design is oriented mostly for users with broader or larger chests, because we all know the previous strap wasn't the best. But it's actually 6 to 12 months away from fully releasing, so it's coming relatively soon. It's in partnership also with Anker, a power bank company for extra battery power and longer lasting tracking, though it is currently unknown how these power banks are going to actually attach the straps or connect to the tracker. And the estimated release date, of course, early next year as well. Now, for the third segment, the lastly was the glove announcements. I know you guys love the gloves. So the immersive gloves are in the alpha prototyping phase, not the beta and not release, alpha. And they're expected to arrive sometime near the end of this year, which also means I will have a pair to demonstrate for you guys when I get them. So be happy, be excited.
woo!
Can't wait to show it to you guys when I get it. So the glove design is going to be more in line with the Diver X design. So it's not going to have the little exoskeleton that I demonstrated in the previous version. It's going to look something more like this. It's going to be an actual glove, and it's not going to have those little rings around it. The tracker is going to be mounted on the glove itself. And this is going to be in partnership with Diver X, of course, for the materials to make the glove. The PCB and the hardware is already completely done. We're just waiting on the actual design to be completed in a way that is durable and resilient. The Magnetra X controller, of course, this thing here, is still planned to release with the gloves as an accessory, so you can, of course, move around and use button inputs. But we don't currently get a model of it in the alpha prototypes. The target price hasn't changed. Without the trackers, it's going to be $250, and the estimated release date is at the very end of this year, but due to the hiccups in the production, I don't know if that's still going to be the case. So I would expect late 2025 or early 2026 for the alphas, and then for the actual release of the gloves, it might be a little bit later. But there are many new projects in the works, and they're releasing by or within the next year. So keep tabs on those and expect to see beta testing and alpha testing and a bunch of reviews coming for them within the next few months. There's also currently a very large push towards making XR devices mainstream, particularly XR glasses. There's been a lot of companies making advertising, and the graphs is insane. People are already trying to hype up this project. And currently the devices, if you're looking for an XR glass, currently the only things on the market are going to have a 1080p, sometimes 4K display, very rare. They also usually require an external device in order to have full spatialization, for example, movement instead of just head rotation. And the price for them is usually around $500. first example is going to be the XReal One Pro. So what is the current state of these types of products? The XReal One Pro is $650, and it was on a sale for like $50 off during June. And it comes with an XReal Eye add-on, which is $99 for a camera, so you can have like spatial pass-through and that sort of stuff on the glasses. This display, like all the others, uses a Sony micro OLED display panel, and it's reflected into the view using a lens. The refresh rate is 120 Hz. There's a 57-degree field of view. It's 1080p, so not 4K. Supports an IPD between 57 millimeters and 75 millimeters across 2 different models, and it has variable shading. So you can have light glasses, you can have dark glasses like sunglasses, and you can change that with the buttons on the device. It uses an X1 compute chip. A lot of these devices might have external computing or internal computing or both, but this one does use both. It weighs 90 grams, and it's compatible with the XReal Beam Pro. The specs are also listed on the store page as well as reviews. And there's new glasses called Project Aura that are planned to release in 2026. So if you are interested in this brand or these types of glasses, keep your eyes on those. The next one is the Viture's The Beast. It's $550, so it's a little bit cheaper than XReal's. It uses the newer OLED panels from Sony, which are 4K-like and have 120 Hz refresh rate as well. Have a slightly bigger field of view than the other glasses, 58 degrees. However, the brightness of these ones are 1,250 nits. So it's like a really good HDR, and it's much brighter than the other lenses. They also have dynamic lens tinting, 9 different modes, and it weighs 88 grams. And of course, it has a special app and a little charging adapter, which you can use for positional degrees of freedom. So most of these do have device-bound features, unfortunately, so you can't use them completely standalone, at least not for all of the different features. And we will see more glasses like these in the future, hopefully. There are lens inserts for them, so if you do actually need glasses to see, it's not going to be too bad. But the field of view, the screen resolution is expected to improve over time. Not currently at the same quality mixed reality for like headsets. They're still winning right now, but XR glasses are on the up and coming. Talking about alternate reality, there's also the Apple Vision Pro, which recently got an OS update, which added a lot of features that I'm expecting to see in many other projects, simply because they're that good. So 3D widgets are making an appearance on the headset for the first time, which is like little 3D elements. You can make 2D elements as well, but they can be put down in 3D space. They're temporary or they're permanent. For example, you can have a little fixture in your house. You can have a portrait frame or a bunch of other stuff placed in your room that you can look at any time. And then there's also, of course, the spatial content, which is also getting major improvement and overhauls. First of all, you can now view 3D photos and videos in the Apple Vision Pro properly. Like, they look much better. And there's also this new AI feature where you can turn any photo into a 3D image, which is pretty interesting. You can also edit stuff in the Apple Vision Pro with the Spatial Media Toolkit. So you can make spatial movies and spatial slideshows and a bunch of other stuff without having to leave the headset, which I think is pretty cool. The Persona system also has had huge upgrades to its quality and its expressions. So these are the little characters, little avatars that you get when you put the headset on that shows like your actual body, your face, your hands. It's getting much better now. It captures your entire likeness and streams it for like recording, video calling, or like conferencing with other people. And you may be familiar sort of with what Meta does with their characters, but this is a lot better. It has complete face and hand tracking. It captures data spatially and creates a sort of 3D perspective of your head. So even if you're like looking this way, people will still see sort of the side of your face and the sides of your hands as you move them. And there have been a lot of updates to the appearance and the quality of them, so they should look a lot better than they used to in the past. There's also been some nice improvements to Passthrough. So there's magnification in Passthrough now, so if you have a problem reading stuff, especially things that are really far away, you can now use a little magnifying glass to like look into things and read them much closer. So it should make reading in VR and like reading in general a lot easier, especially if you have problems with vision. You can also use something similar to what Gemini does to describe, find, and read items in your view. Certain items like cell phones, game controllers are also visible over virtual backgrounds and the games that you're playing. So if you look down, you can actually see what you're doing instead of having to like pretend that you can see your hands and not accidentally press the wrong buttons on the controller. So it'll be a lot easier to play games with controllers. And there's also a hand overlay in the dark. So even if it's completely dark around you, you'll still see your little ghost hands so you don't accidentally smack into things. There's also, surprisingly, the Apple Vision Pro will finally work with a VR controller. Yeah, I did not know this either. It has official native support for the PlayStation VR 2 controllers. They didn't make their own controllers. Yeah, they just use the PlayStations, but it does work. And currently, you can't purchase the controllers like separately, so you would have to have a PlayStation VR 2 and an Apple Vision Pro, which is very expensive. But hopefully, at some point, they will sell the controllers separately. And VR gaming is definitely coming to the Vision Pro at some point. Now that you can actually use controllers to interact with the environment, you have to use like gestures all of the time to move around and do all that sort of stuff. There's also the Logitech Muse Pen, so you can like draw stuff in VR, but that's a little bit more of like a niche use case. So there was a lot of intriguing technologies and changes to Apple Vision Pro. Hopefully, a lot of other devices are going to adapt these sort of technologies and catch up to what the Apple's doing for the future of mixed reality. And there's a lot of potential in the industry to see what happens with all these new developments. Speaking of VR, Meta has also been working on some special new headsets with surprisingly large field of view. So if you guys remember the Pimax with like 100 and something 150 something or more degrees of field of view. These are the Boba headsets from Meta. They have 120 degrees vertical and 180 degrees horizontal field of view. Now, these are currently still in manufacturing, in production, in development, so they're not planned for release, and they are pretty heavy. They weigh almost 900 grams, 845 to be specific. But the display is 4K, similar to the Pimax, and it has again been delayed due to manufacturing complications, and it is planned to complete sometime, maybe next year, is when we'll start seeing more about these headsets. They have been in production for quite a while. As you can see, there's the Boba 1, and then there's the even older versions of the headset, which were definitely not made for release. But overall, that was quite a lot to talk about. I hope I covered something that you guys found interesting. Are there any comments or questions from the audience? Maybe Twitch chat?
Oh, there's one.
Oh, yes. Can you type it in the chat, please?
Will the new Meta headset have better OLED colors and contrast?
So about that, the Boba prototype actually uses LCD displays, so it does not use OLED. So I'm unsure if like the final version will use OLED, but the ones that is presented only use LCD. So probably not going to have that much contrast. It could be good though, if they have enough brightness.